The Zero's 4 research station floated in the void like a silver jewel against the star-strewn darkness. For 20 Earth Standard years, it had been humanity's foothold in the resource-rich Vale Nebula, a testament to the peace treaty that had ended the last great conflict between the Terran Alliance and the Thalver Dominion. Admiral Naira Lorne stood before the massive viewport of the Dreadnought Resilience, watching as Thalver warships encircled the station. The purple-hulled vessels moved with the precision of predators, their weapons arrays glowing with barely contained energy. The treaty had been broken. "Admiral, the Security Council is demanding immediate action," reported her aide, Lieutenant Commander Torres. "They're calling for full military response protocols." Lorne remained silent, her reflection in the viewport revealing nothing of her thoughts. She had commanded fleets in 3 border skirmishes, negotiated ceasefires with species whose very thought processes defied human logic, and yet this moment presented something different, something that required more than guns and anger. "Set course for Earth," she said finally. "Full burn." "But Admiral, the station is already lost." Lorne turned from the viewport, her gray eyes sharp as carbon steel. "And that's exactly where our opportunity begins." The council chamber on Luna Base erupted when Lorne entered. 12 admirals, 20 civilian representatives, and the Secretary General himself all spoke at once, their voices blending into a cacophony of outrage. "They've seized our sovereign territory. 20 years of peace thrown away. We must respond with force." Secretary General Ibrahim Hassan raised his hand for silence. "Admiral Lorne, you commanded the nearest fleet. Why did you withdraw?" Lorne stepped to the center of the chamber, her boots clicking against the polished lunar stone floor. "Because, Secretary General, a military response is exactly what Overcommander Vreshkor expects. And I refuse to give our enemies what they expect." "You speak of refusing when they've taken our station." Admiral Chun slammed his fist on the table. "They've stolen our research, our personnel, our very dignity." "No," Lorne corrected. "They've taken a building, nothing more. And in doing so, they've given us something far more valuable, an opportunity to redefine the rules of the game." The chamber fell silent. Hassan leaned forward. "Explain." Lorne activated the holographic display, showing the galactic map. The Thalver Dominion glowed red, a massive empire spanning 3 spiral arms. Humanity's territory appeared as scattered blue dots, small but strategically placed. The Thalver operate on a simple principle: might makes right. They respect only force and fear only greater force. But what happens when we refuse to play by those rules? "We look weak," Chun spat. "Or," Lorne countered, "we look like we know something they don't." She manipulated the display, highlighting trade routes, alliance networks, and technology exchange hubs. "I propose Operation Mosaic. Instead of military retaliation, we execute a series of unconventional responses designed to isolate Thalver economically, diplomatically, and technologically." "You're talking about soft power against plasma cannons," another admiral protested. Lorne smiled for the first time. "I'm talking about making their plasma cannons irrelevant." Over the next hours, she outlined her plan. First, humanity would publicly thank the Thalver for taking over the outdated Zero's 4 facility. They would announce a galactic technology expo, inviting every species except the Thalver. They would accelerate development of a revolutionary transportation system that had been theoretical until now. "You're gambling with our future," Hassan said when she finished. "No, Secretary General. I'm investing in it." The vote was close, 18 to 16, but Operation Mosaic was approved. Dr. Elias Runn had worked on theoretical, faster-than-light alternatives for 2 decades. When Admiral Lorne's encrypted message arrived at his laboratory on Ganymede, he thought it was a prank. "You want me to make the Nexus Pulse system operational in 6 months?" he asked during the secure hologram conference. 3 months, Lorne corrected. "And I need it to be spectacular." Ren ran his fingers through what remained of his gray hair. "The theory is sound, but we need element V3 to stabilize the quantum tunneling effect. The only known deposits are on Zero's 4, Lorne finished. Or rather, they were. Ren's eyes widened. You didn't. 3 weeks before the Thalver moved, we completed extraction of the entire deposits. 97 tons of crystallized element V3, now safely stored in classified locations. The Thalver have an empty mine and a station full of obsolete equipment. You knew they would break the treaty. I suspected Vreshkor might make a move. The Dominion's economy has been stagnating. Their military needs victories to maintain morale. Zero's 4 was the obvious target, valuable enough to matter, isolated enough to take without immediate retaliation. Ren was already pulling up schematics, his mind racing through calculations. If we can stabilize the pulse generators, create a network of relay stations. Admiral, this could revolutionize galactic transportation. No more depending on hyperspace lanes or jump gates. Exactly. And whoever controls the network controls the galaxy's economy. Rin grinned. When do I start? Ambassador Shan stood before the Galactic Council, her formal robes shimmering with embedded fiber optics. Representatives from 47 species filled the amphitheater, their various forms of respiration creating a symphony of biological diversity. The Terran Alliance wishes to express its gratitude to the Thalver Dominion, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation matrix. The Thalver ambassador, a hulking creature with 4 arms and chitinous armor, shifted in confusion. We thank them for relieving us of the burden of maintaining the Zero's 4 facility. As our technology advances, we find such remote installations increasingly obsolete. The Dominion's willingness to assume responsibility for this relic demonstrates their commitment to galactic stewardship. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Vectari ambassador's translator squealed. The humans, thank you for invasion. Shan continued smoothly. In appreciation, we gift the Thalver full operational rights to the station. We have already withdrawn all personnel and sensitive equipment. May it serve the Dominion as well as it served us. The Thalver ambassador stood, his voice like grinding stones. You mock us. On the contrary, Shan replied. We celebrate your expansion. In fact, to commemorate this new era, humanity announces Future Wave, the largest technology exposition in galactic history. All species are invited to showcase their innovations, forge new partnerships, and glimpse the future of interstellar civilization. She paused, then added with practiced diplomatic precision, all member species of the Galactic Council, that is. We wouldn't want to burden the Thalver with such trivial matters while they're busy managing their new acquisition. The chamber exploded in conversation. Several species immediately began discussing potential exhibits. The Thalver ambassador's armor plates flared in rage, but he could say nothing. Humanity had turned their aggression into a diplomatic coup. Overcommander Vreshkor stood in the command center of the conquered Zero's 4 station, reading report after report with growing unease. Everything was wrong. Empty storage vaults? Yes, Overcommander, his science officer reported. The element V3 deposits show signs of recent extraction. Complete extraction. The research labs? Stripped of all advanced equipment. Only basic terminals remain, and their data cores have been wiped. Vreshkor's 4 hands clenched. They knew. They had to know we were coming. His tactical officer stepped forward. Overcommander, intelligence reports indicate the humans are proceeding with some kind of technology exhibition. They show no signs of military mobilization. Because they're planning something else. Vreshkor studied the star charts, his compound eyes searching for patterns. What do we actually gain here? The answer was becoming horrifyingly clear. Nothing. An empty shell of a station, drained of everything valuable. And worse, the humans were using the incident to rally other species to their cause. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. 17 species have already confirmed participation in the humans' Future Wave event. The Meridian Collective is offering to co-sponsor. Vreshkor slammed his primary fist onto the command console. They have been played. The Future Wave exposition transformed Neptune's moon Triton into a glittering jewel of technology and innovation. Massive conservation domes sprouted from the icy surface, each one showcasing marvels from different corners of the galaxy. Admiral Lorne walked through the main thoroughfare alongside Dr. Run, watching as representatives from dozens of species examined exhibits and formed new partnerships. The Vectari displayed their latest biotechnology, growing buildings from engineered organisms. The synthetic ALS of the Machina Collective demonstrated quantum computing advances that made traditional processors look like stone tools. But the real excitement centered on Pavilion 1, where humanity's exhibit remained mysteriously sealed. The anticipation is killing them, Ren observed as they passed a group of Centauri traders speculating loudly about what the humans were hiding. Good, Lorne replied. How are the final tests? 98% efficiency. The pulse generators are stable. The relay stations are in position. We can activate the network whenever you're ready. They paused at an observation deck overlooking the main plaza. Below, thousands of beings mingled, traded, and forged alliances. The Thalver were conspicuously absent. Their economic indices have dropped 11% since we announced Future Wave, Lorne's aide reported. Several minor species have withdrawn from Dominion trade agreements. Pride, Lorne mused. Their greatest strength and ultimate weakness. They can't admit they were outmaneuvered, so they isolate themselves further. The opening ceremony drew representatives from across the galaxy. Holographic projectors created a star field above the assembled crowds as Secretary General Hassan took the stage. Friends, partners, fellow travelers in the cosmic journey, he began. Today we celebrate not just technology, but the spirit of cooperation that drives us to reach beyond our limitations. The crowd applauded with various appendages. Hassan continued, For too long, our galaxy has been divided by distance, by the tyranny of space-time itself. Today, humanity offers a solution. The seals on Pavilion 1 dissolved, revealing a massive chamber dominated by a crystalline structure pulsing with contained energy. Gasps and untranslatable sounds of awe filled the air. Dr. Ren stepped forward. Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary beings, I present the Nexus Pulse Transportation System. Instantaneous matter transmission across any distance, without the limitations of hyperspace or the energy requirements of traditional jump technology. The demonstration was flawless. A probe vanished from the chamber and reappeared instantly at a relay station near Alpha Centauri. Then another jumped to the galactic rim. The third materialized in the Magellanic Cloud, outside the galaxy entirely. The network requires no exotic matter, no massive energy expenditure, Ren explained. Only element V3 as a stabilizing catalyst, a resource we've already secured in sufficient quantities to establish relay stations throughout known space. The implications were staggering. Trade routes that took months would be reduced to minutes. Military deployments that required weeks of travel could happen instantly. Whoever controlled the network would effectively control galactic civilization. Ambassador Sean took the stage. Humanity offers partnership in this revolutionary system. Any species willing to sign mutual defense and fair trade agreements will have full access to the network. The relay stations will be jointly administered by a cooperative council, ensuring no single power can dominate. She paused, then delivered the killing blow. This offer extends to all peaceful species, even those who may have recently experienced diplomatic misunderstandings. On the bridge of his flagship, Overcommander Vreshkor watched the broadcast with mounting horror. The humans hadn't just responded to the treaty violation. They had used it as a catalyst to reshape galactic politics entirely. Overcommander, his intelligence officer reported, 39 species have already expressed interest in joining the human network. If this technology works as demonstrated, the Dominion becomes irrelevant, Vreshkor finished. Without access to instantaneous transportation, Thalver trade would wither. Their military advantages would evaporate. They would become a backwater empire, slowly strangling in their own isolation. Sir, what are your orders? Vreshkor closed all four eyes, feeling the weight of centuries of Thalver pride pressing down on him. Open a channel to Earth. direct to Admiral Lorne. The meeting took place on neutral ground, an ancient space station in the buffer zone between human and Thalver space. Admiral Lorne arrived with a minimal escort, while Vreshkor brought only his personal guard. They faced each other across a simple metal table, warrior to warrior. "You orchestrated all of this," Vreshkor stated. "It wasn't an accusation, merely recognition of fact." "I responded to your actions," Lorne replied evenly. "You chose the game when you broke the treaty. I simply chose how to play it. The station was bait. The station was opportunity. For both of us, you saw a chance to demonstrate strength. I saw a chance to demonstrate something more important." "And what is that?" Lorne leaned forward slightly. "That the age of empire through conquest is ending. The future belongs to those who build networks, not those who seize territory." Vreshkor's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement or frustration. "You force us to surrender without firing a shot. I offer you partnership, access to the Nexus network, full trade rights, a seat on the administrative council. The same terms as everyone else. And the price." Now Lorne smiled. "Return Zeros 4 to human control. Sign a new treaty. And one more thing. Return all territories seized from other species in the past 50 years. Vreshkor's armor plates flared. "You ask us to dismantle our empire. I ask you to transform it. From conquered subjects to willing partners. From fear to respect. The choice is yours. Join the future or be left behind by it." The silence stretched between them. Finally, Vreshkor spoke. "You humans, you don't think like warriors. We think like survivors. And sometimes, the best way to win a war is to make it obsolete." One Earth year later, Admiral Nyra Lorne stood in her garden on Mars, watching the two moons dance across the terraformed sky. The retirement ceremony had been grand, full of speeches and medals, but she preferred this quiet moment. Her wrist communicator chimed. A holographic display showed the latest network statistics. 60% of the galaxy now connected by Nexus pulse stations. Trade volumes had increased threefold. 3 border conflicts had been resolved through economic pressure rather than military action. The Thalver had returned the seized territories. Vreshkor himself now served on the Network Council, bringing organizational expertise that had surprised everyone. The old empire was becoming something new, something that might last longer than conquest ever could. Admiral, her former aide, appeared at the garden gate. "Sorry to disturb you, but there's a message from Overcommander Vreshkor." Lorne accepted the sealed packet, breaking the encryption with her thumbprint. Inside was a simple note in Vreshkor's angular script. "You were right. Building is harder than breaking, also more satisfying. Thank you for the lesson." She smiled, tucking the note away. In the distance, a Nexus Pulse relay station flickered to life, another link in the chain that now bound the galaxy together. "They broke the treaty," she murmured to herself, looking up at the stars. "But we didn't get mad. We got creative. And in the end, that made all the difference." The stars seemed to pulse in agreement. Each one a sun, each sun a system, each system now within reach of instantaneous travel and communication. The age of scattered worlds was ending. The age of true galactic civilization had begun, and it had started with a broken treaty and a refusal to respond with anger. The garden was quiet except for the rustle of Martian hybrid plants in the thin wind. Lorne sat on a stone bench, her fingers tracing the edges of a crystal chess piece, a gift from the Vectari ambassador. Her communicator chimed again. This time it was Dr. Runn, his excited face appearing in miniature hologram. "Nyra, you need to see this. We've had a breakthrough with the second-generation Nexus technology. If we can stabilize the quantum variance, we might be able to—" "Elias," she interrupted gently. "I'm retired, remember? But this could revolutionize everything. I know. That's what the next generation is for." She smiled at his crestfallen expression. "Send the data to Admiral Torres. She's more than capable." After Wren signed off, Lorne remained in the garden as the Martian sunset painted the sky in shades of rust and gold. The transformation from crisis to opportunity, from confrontation to cooperation, had taken 3 months of planning and a year of implementation. But the foundations, she knew, would last generations. A shuttle passed overhead, marked with Thalver insignia, probably traders heading to the new Memphis colony. The sight would have been impossible 2 years ago. Her personal journal lay open beside her. She picked up her stylus and began to write. History will debate whether Operation Mosaic was diplomacy or warfare by other means. The truth is simpler. It was evolution. We forced a choice between adaptation and extinction, then offered our hand to help with the former. The Thalver taught us that treaties could be broken. We taught them that breaking trust has consequences far beyond military retaliation. A broken treaty became the catalyst for a new galactic order, one based on interdependence rather than domination. Vreshkor asked me once why humans didn't think like warriors. I told him we did. We simply recognized that the greatest warriors choose their battles carefully and win before the fighting starts. Today, young officers study the Zeros 4 incident as a masterclass in asymmetric response. They missed the deeper lesson. We didn't outsmart the Thalver. We offered them a better story than endless conquest. A story where former enemies become architects of shared prosperity. The network continues to expand. Each new relay station is a thread in a web that binds us all. Not chains of subjugation, but connections of mutual benefit. The boy who broke his neighbor's window to prove his strength now helps build schools. The empire that seized stations now jointly administers trade hubs. They broke the treaty. We broke the cycle. She closed the journal as the first stars appeared in the Martian sky. Somewhere among them, a Nexus pulse relay activated, folding space-time to bring distant worlds together. Another thread in the tapestry. Another step toward a galaxy where creativity trumped destruction. In the growing darkness, the lights of New Olympus flickered to life below her hillside garden. Human and alien architectures blended seamlessly. Spiral towers from the Centauri, crystalline domes from the Vectari, even the angular fortresses favored by the Thalver, now repurposed as trade centers. Her communicator chimed one final time. Admiral Torres, her former aide and chosen successor, appeared in hologram. Admiral Lorne, sorry Naira. I wanted to inform you that the Thalver have proposed establishing a joint military academy. They want to train the next generation in what they're calling creative strategic response. Vreshkor personally requested you as a guest lecturer. Lorne laughed, a sound of genuine delight. Tell the overcommander I'm flattered, but my teaching days are done. Besides, she added with a knowing smile, he already understands the lesson. Let him pass it on. After Torres signed off, Lorne made her way back to her house. The walls were decorated with artifacts from a dozen worlds. Gifts from former adversaries turned allies. In her study, star charts showed the expanding Nexus network, each new connection of victory without violence. She paused at her desk, where a simple frame held the original Operation Mosaic briefing. The paper was already yellowing, but the words remained clear. Objective: transform a treaty violation into catalyst for galactic reformation. Mission accomplished. As she prepared for bed, one last thought occurred to her. She activated her personal log, recording a final note. Future historians might wonder if we were too forgiving, if we should have demanded more punishment for the treaty violation. They misunderstand. Punishment teaches fear. Transformation teaches wisdom. We didn't forgive the Thalver. We recruited them. We turned predators into partners, not through force, but through vision. The treaty was broken. But what we built from those pieces was stronger than what came before. The recording ended. Lorne looked out her window at the night sky, where ancient stars watched over a galaxy, learning new ways to connect. Somewhere in that vastness, beings who had never met were trading goods and ideas across impossible distances, united by a network born from a broken promise. She smiled and turned away from the window. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities for the next generation to prove that creativity could triumph over conflict. But tonight, she was content. They had broken the treaty. Humanity hadn't gotten mad. They had gotten creative. And the galaxy would never be the same. The early hours of Martian morning found Lorne in her greenhouse, tending to Earth roses she'd adapted to Martian soil. The delicate work of grafting and nurturing always cleared her mind, much as strategic planning once had. Her garden had become famous in retirement, a living metaphor for her philosophy. Species that shouldn't coexist thrive together. Falvarian thorn bushes provided shelter for delicate centauri, flowering vines. Earth roses bloomed beside Vectari crystal plants, each contributing to a balanced ecosystem. A visitor's chime announced Ambassador Sean's arrival. The diplomat entered, her formal robes replaced by comfortable civilian clothes. Still mixing species that shouldn't work together? Sean asked, admiring a particularly unusual hybrid. Still negotiating peace between incompatible parties? Lorne countered with a smile. They walked among the plants as Sean updated her on recent developments. 3 more species had joined the Nexus network. The Thalver proposed military academy was gaining support. Trade disputes were being resolved in hours instead of years. Vreshkor sends his regards, Sean mentioned. He says to tell you he's studying human poetry. Lorne raised an eyebrow. Poetry. Apparently, he finds metaphor more challenging than military strategy. He's particularly intrigued by your ancient writer Sun Tzu. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. He's beginning to understand, Lorne murmured, pruning a rose bush. Though I always preferred Lao Tzu. When people lose sight of the Tao, they create laws and morality. They continued through the greenhouse, discussing philosophy and galactic politics with equal ease. The conversation turned to the upcoming anniversary of the Zero's 4 incident. The Galactic Council wants to declare it Unity Day, Sean explained. A celebration of creative diplomacy over destructive force. Ironic, celebrating a treaty violation. Not the violation. The response. The transformation. Sean paused beside a flowering Earth-Thalver hybrid. You know, some younger diplomats call it the Lorne Doctrine, using apparent weakness as ultimate strength. Lorne shook her head. Doctrines become dogma. Each situation requires its own creative response. That's the real lesson. As Sean prepared to leave, she turned back with a curious expression. Did you really know the Thalver would break the treaty? Lorne continued pruning, her voice thoughtful. I knew Vreshkor was under pressure. Military leaders facing economic problems often seek military solutions. But knowing isn't the same as planning. We simply prepared for multiple possibilities. And if they hadn't taken the bait, then we would have found another path. Creativity isn't about having one brilliant plan. It's about seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. After Sean left, Lorne returned to her study. The walls held star charts, but also artwork from various species, each piece a gift from former adversaries. A Thalvarian battle banner hung beside a Centauri peace tapestry, neither conquering the other. Her journal lay open on the desk. She added a new entry. Year 2 of retirement. The network expands daily. Former enemies share technology and dreams. Vreshkor studies poetry. The galaxy learns that strength comes in many forms. Yesterday, a young officer asked me for the secret of Operation Mosaic. I told her there was no secret, only the willingness to see beyond immediate reactions. Anger clouds vision. Creativity clarifies it. The broken treaty was a gift, not the violation itself, but the opportunity it presented. We could have responded with force and gained nothing. Instead, we responded with vision and gained a galaxy. Future challenges will require new solutions. The next generation must learn not just what we did, but how to think beyond conventional responses. Today's creative solution becomes tomorrow's orthodox strategy. The cycle continues. She set down her stylus and walked to the window. The Nexus relay station was visible on the horizon, its crystalline structure catching the morning light. Ships blinked in and out of existence. Thalver traders, Centauri explorers, human colonists, all using the same network, all bound by mutual benefit rather than fear. Her communicator showed a queue of messages, requests for interviews, invitations to speak, questions about strategy and philosophy. She archived them all. The future belonged to those still building, not those who had already built. In the greenhouse, her hybrid plants continued their impossible existence, proving daily that incompatible elements could create something beautiful when properly nurtured. Just like the galaxy itself, the morning sun climbed higher, painting Mars in shades of amber and rose. Somewhere in the vast network of connected worlds, new alliances formed, new ideas flourished, and the echoes of a broken treaty continued to reshape civilization. Lauren smiled and returned to her roses. There was still work to do in the garden. The seasons turned on Mars, subtle but distinct to those who knew how to read them. Lauren's garden evolved with each passing month, new hybrids emerging, failed experiments teaching valuable lessons. Much like the galactic community itself, on a crisp autumn morning, she received an unexpected visitor. Technician Ava, now Director Ava Singh of the Nexus Development Institute, arrived unannounced. "Admiral," Ava began, then caught herself. "Naira, sorry to intrude, but I had to deliver this personally." She produced a small, crystal vial containing a shimmering substance. Element V3, the last sample from the original Zeros 4 extraction. Lauren accepted the vial, noting how the substance seemed to pulse with its own inner light. "Why bring it to me?" "Because you'll understand its significance. We've learned to synthesize it now. This natural sample, it's historically important but scientifically obsolete. The Nexus Institute wants to place it in a monument at the site of the first relay station. A monument to a broken treaty? A monument to transformation, to choosing creation over destruction." Ava smiled. Vresh Kaur suggested it. He wants the inscription to read, "From broken trust, we forged unbreakable bonds." Lauren held the vial up to the light, watching the element that had changed everything shimmer and dance. "Tell Vresh Kaur I approve. But add something. The strongest treaties are written not in words, but in shared dreams." After Ava left, Lauren found herself reflecting on the journey from crisis to catalyst. The vial of element V3 sat on her desk, a tangible reminder of how apparent losses could become ultimate victories. Her personal communicator activated, a priority message from the Galactic Council. She almost ignored it, then noticed the sender, Overcommander Vresh Kaur himself. His image appeared, looking notably different from their first encounter. The armor remained, but his posture had changed, less aggressive, more contemplative. "Admiral Lorne," he began formally, then seemed to reconsider. "Naira, I'm transmitting from a Zeros 4 Peace Academy. Yes, we've renamed it. I wanted you to see the first graduating class." The image shifted to show ranks of young beings, Thalver, human, Centauri, and others, standing in mixed formation. No species clustered together. They were integrated, unified. "We teach them your principles," Vresh Kaur continued. "Not as military doctrine, but as life philosophy." Yesterday, a Thalver cadet and a human cadet resolved a dispute by designing a cooperative solution that benefited both. They cited the Zeros incident as inspiration. "You've come far from the warrior who seized that station," Lorne observed. "Perhaps. Or perhaps I've become a different kind of warrior. One who conquers problems instead of people." He paused. "I have a confession. When we took Zeros 4, I thought we were demonstrating strength. Now I understand we were revealing weakness, the inability to imagine any response except force. And now I teach young minds to see 20 solutions where once I saw only one. Your creativity virus has infected us all, Admiral. The Dominion will never be the same." After the call ended, Lauren walked through her house to a special room, her private archive. Shelves held physical documents, digital storage, and artifact from her career. She placed the vial of element V3 in a place of honor. Beside it sat her original handwritten notes for Operation Mosaic. The paper had yellowed, but the words remained clear. Primary objective: transform crisis into opportunity. Secondary objective: reshape galactic power dynamics. Method: creative response to conventional aggression. Expected outcome: new paradigm for conflict resolution. Below these clinical objectives, She had scrawled a more personal note. They think strength means taking. We'll show them it means building. She added a new note now, 2 years later. Mission accomplished. But the real victory isn't in what we built. It's in who we became. The archive held other treasures. The first treaty signed through Nexus negotiation. The Thalvarian poem about transformation. Vreshkor's first attempt. Holographic recordings of former enemies working together on relay stations. Each item told part of a larger story. How a broken promise became the foundation for a better future. As the day waned, Lauren returned to her garden. The Martian sunset painted the sky in familiar colors, but the world beneath had changed profoundly. Ships flashed through Nexus gates, carrying beings and goods across impossible distances. Former military bases had become academies and research centers. The architecture of war had been repurposed for peace. Her wrist communicator chimed, a reminder about tomorrow's scheduled call with her successor, Admiral Torres. The younger woman wanted advice on negotiating with a newly discovered species. Lauren made a note. Remember, first contact is like gardening. Plant possibilities, nurture growth, prune carefully. As darkness fell, she performed her evening ritual, checking each plant, adjusting nutrients, planning tomorrow's work. The greenhouse's transparent walls revealed the star field above, including the faint flicker of active Nexus relays. A message from her former science officer caught her attention. Quantum variants in second-generation Nexus technology stabilized. Instantaneous communication now possible across galactic distances. The network evolves. She smiled. The children had surpassed the parents, as it should be. Her final journal entry for the day read, "The broken treaty recedes into history, but its lessons spread like ripples in a cosmic pond. Each new connection strengthens the web. Each former enemy who becomes an ally proves that creativity trumps force." I'm often asked if I forgive the Thalver for breaking the treaty. The question misses the point. Forgiveness implies they wronged us. In truth, they freed us from old thinking, from limited responses, from the cycle of retaliation. They broke a treaty. We built a civilization. Tomorrow, new challenges will arise. New treaties may be tested. But now we know, every crisis carries the seeds of transformation. We need only the vision to see and the courage to act differently. The stars are no longer distant points of light. They are destinations, connected by threads of human creativity and alien cooperation. The broken treaty was our chrysalis. What emerged was something beautiful. She closed the journal and prepared for sleep. Outside, Mars turned beneath its tapestry of stars, each one a sun, each sun a system, each system now within reach. In the greenhouse, impossible hybrids bloomed in defiance of conventional wisdom. Just as impossible alliances now flourished among the stars. They had broken the treaty. Humanity hadn't gotten mad. They had gotten creative. And the galaxy had become a garden where former enemies tended shared dreams.